Hello! Have you ever painted a watercolor flower and felt like it was a little bit flat? Well, watercolors do tend to become flat when we are adding water, of course. So it dries up 10% lighter than we apply it, and often the first layer will seem a little bit flat, which can be a little bit annoying if we want a flower petal to be curvy. So I made this video for you, so I wanted to show you how to make curvy petals, and I'm just going to show you so you know what you're in for here. So showing you how to create the lines that are kind of shaping the petals. Now I have my pencil sketch ready here, and I promised you I wanted to just kind of just show you real quick how to get the first coat down here, or first wash down. This is Canson Montval, 300 grams watercolor paper, and I have my Daniel Smith paint here. I have my brushes. This is a size 1, I think, actually, but you can see this is size 4 and it looks really a lot smaller, so sizes doesn't really matter. I like to keep it in a bigger brush when it's not detailed for the first wash, and a shape that's this big. So I'm just going to dive in. Of course I have water and some cloth, and I actually have a palette too, so I might get some use out of that. And that is it. I'm speeding up the process so you don't have to watch everything, but I will speak to you in a second. So now we are done with the first wash. Let's let it dry and see what comes out of it. Now we have our tulip here, and it's all dry. And because I painted all of these petals wet on wet just before, they are all very soft, and the water does take away a little bit of the vibrancy, but I think it's really pretty as well. But it does need a little bit more to kind of make these flat surfaces pop. And the trick is to kind of well, use wet on dry, but also to use water in the right places, because we don't want to just paint all the lines. We want to soften them when we can, so it's not going to be looking too overworked. So I'm just going to start, and I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. So just putting a bit of paint here, and I might use the diluted. There's more water in this paint than in my palette, but so I might use this, and I might use the other one, but this is easier to kind of get started with. I'm going to start with the petals closest to me, because these two petals are kind of the main focus here. So I want to kind of get those out of the way. And I'm just going to start with this one. And when you are shaping your petals, you want to kind of look at the reference and see how they are bent. Often there's actually lines there. So just starting at the edge of the petal here, I'm actually doing a little bit of an outline here, and then just kind of making lines that are following that direction. And you can see how this is already looking a little bit too much and too graphic. So in a second I'm gonna soften some of the lines with water. But right now I'm just going to add a little bit more here. You can see how it is shaping it. It's just looking a little bit too much. So now I'm going to take my damp brush and just soften a few of these lines. And don't do this too late, because then it'll dry for you, especially because we are working wet on dry. It does dry out quick, and you want to make sure to catch it before it dries. That would be a shame. This one over here actually has quite a bend to it, so just trying to show that with these lines. And remember, you can always do more. You never want to overdo your lines when you are working in watercolor, because layering is key. There you go. I think I'm gonna soften just a little bit. And that is good for now. I have a small one here I'd kind of forgotten about, so just putting that in. Now we can go in and add some lines to this one. And same concept, just starting on the edge. Use the tip of your brush and work with the shape. And if you like painting watercolors and want to kind of go in more in depth with my work, I actually have a membership opening up very soon, January 2nd, where you can kind of just every week tune in and get a bit of creative inspiration. It's going to be like a vlog where we just kind of paint next to each other and share our creative process. It's going to be so cool. And of course I'll share more about it here on YouTube, but just keeping your eyes open, because this will be a great motivation if you are kind of sick of just tutorials. Then a painting body might just be what you need, just to kind of have someone to listen to and sit and sketch with. So you can see how that really made that side of the petal pop. You can see we can do it the same over here. Just carefully looking at the reference. And kind of all the lines go down in the middle here where the center of the petal is going. So you kind of want to just add these lines in. Let some of them go all the way, so we kind of get a sense that they all kind of go that way, but we don't want to paint it all. We want to make it as easy as possible for ourselves and also give the viewer something to do, so they're not bored. Often when we see a piece of art, our brain does so much of the work that the painter doesn't really have to do that much, which is good for us. Just adding a bit more of the other colors here, just to kind of spice it up a little bit. And then over here was a little bit dull, so I'm just adding a bit there. So you can see how there's a shape, the shapes on the petals that are kind of curving. And then we have this center that is kind of, the shape is going upwards. And we're kind of just adding strokes in the direction. And now we're actually at the point where we are going to decide how many petals do we actually want to add shape to, because we don't want to do it to all of them. I'm going to use it on a few more petals, but by choosing a few petals instead of all, you actually make a lot more interesting painting. So you really don't want to overdo it. Just adding a bit of lines there, softening it, and maybe just adding a bit more paint there and some water, so it's not too heavy there. This one is kind of rough in the color, so I'm actually going to add a bit of lines to that too, so people won't be, oh my goodness, what is that? So now they can see that it is a petal just like the rest. And it's going behind there. I love flowers. And it's winter here, so at the moment, so there's no flowers at all. So I did find one of my old gardening books for this, and there's really, yeah, I love it. It just gives us something special to look forward to, I guess. But my membership will be very much based on flowers, though it's not going to be like promising that every week will be new flowers, because that would not be good for anyone's creativity, I think. But I do have a feeling that there is going to be quite a few flowers, because I do tend to lean towards those. So you can see how here I actually just added almost just paint, but still with a few lines in there, so that shaped it too. And I think I'm actually going to leave it here. You kind of see the point of shaping it, following the lines of the petal. Make sure to have a reference so you can actually see how it's shaped. And just by doing this, it will really just make a ton of difference. One important thing is to make sure that it is dry. So make sure that your first base is dry before going in with these lines. If it's not completely dry, the lines will disappear and just dissolve into the painting. So make sure it's dry. Keep it wet on dry, and then soften it with a damp brush, and you are good to go. Then you can continue, but don't do it on all the petals. That would just be a shame. I hope that was helpful, and that you learned just a few tricks on how to create your own flowers. And of course this was a tulip, but you can do it in whatever flower petal you like. The beauty about this is that it's a way to do just organic shapes, so nothing has to be perfect. It's just go ahead and grab a brush and start painting, and you will see beautiful results when you just keep doing it. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Bye!